Today, we're going to talk about something that most people get completely wrong, and it's actually costing them muscle, energy, and the results that they're actually working so hard for. Today, I'm excited about my guest, Zach Rana, and I'm your host, Dr. Kalpana Sundar, if you haven't been here before. But Zach is a biochemist by training and also a competitive bodybuilder. And he is the founder of Gladiator Strength, which is a coaching program that's built for people who live on planes, people who are never in the same city for more than a night or two in a row. So obviously, those people have very busy lifestyles and have a hard time maintaining fitness while they travel. Zach has traveled over 20 countries and has kept his body fat between 12 and 15% with no meal prep, no willpower, and, just found out that, his life really didn't start that way, but he had a moment where things really changed. He had actually gained a lot of weight during a brutal stretch where he was working 60 to 80-hour work weeks. And that's when he decided his life had to change. Now, I will say that my body fat is probably better than Zach's. No, it isn't. I mean, honestly, keeping your body fat between 12 and 15% while you have a busy life is very, very hard to do. So it's going to be great to get this insider secrets on how he does it. So let's welcome Zach Rana. Hey,
Thanks for
Zach,
having
how?
me. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yes, well, it's so great to have you here. I'm so excited to talk to you because you have had quite the journey. You were fit, you were doing all the right things, and then it sounds like all of a sudden work got crazy and very busy. You were traveling a lot, and this happens to a lot of people. So tell me, how that felt for you being fit all your life and then all of a sudden looking in the mirror and just going, this isn't me.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember it was December 2019. I remember this vividly because it was a Thursday night at the end of a long week of work. And I ate an entire Domino's pizza by myself and was trying to just get my mind off of all the stress from the week. And I remember my friend was showing me this picture when we were out the previous night. He was like, "Hey, look at this photo I got of us." And I saw my face and I saw a double chin the first time in my life. And I remember seeing that, and it literally, I did a double take and I was like, oh my God. And then I went to the bathroom. I was taking a shower before bed and I saw myself in the mirror and my stomach was sticking out of my shirt. Again, first time I had ever noticed that. And I think for me, that was like the wake up call where I was like, wait a minute, the identity that I have is not in alignment with who I am right now. And that's where I really experienced what I tell all of our clients is like, when we experience that cognitive dissonance, that's really what can drive us into the action. When we're like, wait a minute, this is how I want to be and this is how I actually am. The bigger that gap is, the more pain I experienced. And yeah, that's kind of where my whole journey started because I was like, I identify as a fit, healthy person. I don't know what's happened.
Well, you bring up such a great point because a lot of us don't realize it. It's been happening in front of you and you don't even realize it. You almost have to make a conscious effort to see that it's happening, or you could get busy and get sidetracked, and all of a sudden it's a surprise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's tough. And pictures do not lie. One of the things that I love about being in front of the camera a lot is that I always get to see what's going on. It keeps
Very
me,
true.
it keeps me real because I got to show up in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then was there a specific moment that you felt that I just can't keep living like this? I got to do something. What really was going on behind the scenes when you were making these decisions to change your life for in a positive way?
Yeah, I love that question because it's so fascinating. Like now I've gone down a rabbit hole of just studying behavior change and like what gets us to really tick. And when I look back on my own journey, at first it was really like a gradual process. Like I didn't realize that I was becoming unhealthy and I didn't realize how much of a toll it was taking on my body. It just sort of became my new normal. Like I just would wake up every day exhausted, no matter how much I slept. And at that point, I just thought that was normal. Right. And like, And I remember just feeling like more sluggish, more tired, doing actions, just like getting myself to have the momentum to actually do an action was becoming increasingly harder. And because it happened gradually, it wasn't like it kind of like it almost like snowballed. Like it just got bigger and bigger and bigger until all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, this sucks. I hate living like this. And for me, that moment was kind of an addition of like, I was getting sick constantly, at least once a month. I think that was a big red flag for me. I was getting sick once a month. My immune system was just tanked. My cortisol was, now I know, I didn't know at the time, but now I know my cortisol was through the roof, and I was sleeping poorly. Both of those things drastically impact our immune system, and my nutrition was terrible. So those three things, my immune system was garbage. And then the second part was the chronic exhaustion and fatigue. It just got so bad to the point where it started to impact my work. It started to impact how I showed up. It was impacting my self-confidence. And that was for me where I was like, okay, enough is enough. I know that for the goals that I have for myself, I want to be a leader. I want to make a lot of money. I want to have a big impact on the world. None of those things are going to happen with the way that I'm living my life right now.
And you have so many important things packed into a few of those sentences. Number one, that chronic exhaustion, that's where it starts, is my opinion. Because when people work 60 to 80-hour weeks, they just get so focused on their work and they ignore everything else. So the chronic exhaustion usually leads to obviously poor sleep, cortisol is high. Then you make poor decisions when it comes to eating. You cannot fathom eating properly, working out. I mean, I know when I don't sleep right for a little while, everything goes crazy. So my first goal in those moments is to start sleeping correctly, figure out what's behind that problem, and then fix the rest. The second thing you said was about the self-confidence. Do you know how much time people spend thinking in the background in their subconscious when they don't like how they look and how they feel? It's a lot of time. And one thing I find out with my work, because I'm all about vitality, wealth, and impact, if you're stuck in that loop in your brain, I don't care how much you want to make money and be wealthy, you won't ever get there because your mind is stuck in a loop of, I don't like the way I look in this, I don't like the way I feel, and then you definitely cannot create impact. So everything you're saying rings true with even the work I do, because once you got to feeling good, looking good, feeling like yourself again, well, then you could work on money, businesses, creating the impact you want. So it's a perfect explanation.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. And one of my fundamental beliefs is that health and fitness correlates over to every other aspect of our lives. Like what I mean by that is in terms of professional success, I used to think that I needed to just work super hard and prioritize my career, and I'd worry about my health when I was older. And what I realized was actually that when I do prioritize my health, my career advances faster because I show up with more confidence and more energy. I physically look better, which, I hate to admit it, but it's true. People judge us based off of our appearances. And when I show up as the fit, healthy version of myself, I get taken seriously. More people are willing to listen to what I have to say because I show with my body that I'm disciplined and I'm consistent. So I think that those things have carried over into my professional career, into my relationships, like every single other aspect of my life. It's kind of been a cascading effect of like prioritizing my health leads to better outcomes and everything else. It's not the other way around.
100%. And it was just so great when I met you because I could see that you lived that and I lived that. And most people are focusing on the other thing, work, money. And listen, I was an ENT surgeon for 25 years and I focused on the money, not my vitality. And let me tell you, 20 years ago, I looked 20 years older than I do now.
Wow.
And people mistake my age all the time, and I love it. That's my favorite compliment. Oh my God, how old are you? And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because I believe in vitality and I have a lot of energy. And because I focus so much on that now, I don't focus on the money. But it's funny. The more I focus on my vitality, the more money comes because you create those relationships, you show up differently, you show up confidently. frankly, I feel better about myself now than I did 25 years ago. So
Wow.
age is irrelevant, in my opinion. Age is absolutely irrelevant. And that's the other thing, because society has a lot of stigma about how, well, society has a stigma that men get more attractive as they get older and women get less attractive. But I have to say, these days, I'm finding that increasingly less true because men my age look a lot older than I do. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, I don't know. So it's just there's a lot of stigma in society, and one of the big things that we're going to talk about a little later, I'm just going to tease that now, is that how society's stigmas affect affect us adversely, because there's an epidemic going on about not eating and under eating, and especially in women, because I deal with a lot of weight loss clients and hormone clients, and across the board I see that women just don't want to eat because they think that eating is bad. So we're going to get into that later, but it's so all of it really relates to one another.
Mhm.
But the next big question that I have for you is, people who have had the experience that you have had, they'll just fix themselves if they can. Most people can't, actually. So kudos to you for fixing the problem so quickly and effectively. But then how did you decide to create a business out of this?
Oh, I love that question. I decided from a pretty young age that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And there were a couple reasons for that. One was I'm a very creative person. I love to create and to put things out in the world. And I started my YouTube channel I started my YouTube channel in college, actually. So if anyone digs back, you'll find some really cringy college vlogs in there. But the point is, I've
I'm
always loved to create.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm checking it out.
maybe don't, but no, I'm just kidding. The point is, I've always loved to create and just express myself and put things out in the world. And I've also always loved helping people. And as I progressed in my education, I realized that entrepreneurship is actually both of those things every single day. And with my day-to-day work, I kind of started to get bored. And I was like, I'm just doing the same thing. Once you master the fundamental skill sets, it's like, okay, I'm just doing the same thing every day. And I can't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. I'm the type of person who, like, I always want to be leveling up. I always want to be growing. I always want to be learning something new. I identify as a lifelong learner. I don't think that my learning stops in school. I mean, all the books behind me, like I always want to learn more stuff, So anyways, that's kind of where I knew for a fact that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But then the question became, what business should I start? And I wanted to make sure I was starting something that was actually valuable to other people, not just something that I thought was cool. And I think that's also kind of a cool lens or a cool skill set I've learned from entrepreneurship, is that entrepreneurship is all about serving others. It's not about necessarily what I think is, what I want or whatever I think is cool. It's more of like, what does everyone else think is cool that they really need help with? And I had a running list of business ideas of all these things. Most of them were god awful ideas, like terrible. But I think through that exercise, it just got me thinking, like, what are the challenges that people face and what are solutions that I could provide to those things? And as I had this running list, just over time throughout my career in bodybuilding, a lot of my colleagues got to see me get absolutely shredded. And they would ask me questions all the time. Oh, what are you doing? What's your diet like? How are you training? Like, what is it? How is this even possible? How are you doing this while doing our job? Like, that's crazy. Right. And then I think when it really, like, the light bulb went off in my mind was when my boss asked me to write her a plan and was like, charge me whatever, just send me an invoice. I was like, what? I remember I went to my best friend, my colleague and coworker at the time. I went to him and I was like, he used to be a personal trainer in the past. So I ran to him. I was like, dude, our boss wants me to write this like plan for her and I don't know what to do and I don't know what to charge her. And like, I'm like, this is crazy. And he's like, oh, it's like, charge her $100, do this, do that. And I was like, all right. So I wrote her out this plan. And the light bulb moment for me was, one, I have a skill set that other people believe is valuable. that I had just spent a decade developing out of pure passion. I was like, I just live and breathe this stuff because I love it. And then two was that there is a huge need for this because I see so many people in my life that are overweight and unhealthy and have tried every fad diet and are struggling with their weight and are always on some new weight loss thing. And for myself, I cracked the code to where I never live with the fear that I will be overweight. Like I just don't have that fear because I understand my nutrition and my training at a fundamental level. So I'm like, I will never be overweight in my entire life. And I think that was an aha moment for me where I was like, wait, not everybody thinks that way or has that understanding. And I have this, knowledge base that I can then share with them and sort of educate them, a combination of knowledge, behavior change, and tactical education to help them implement these things in their lives.
I love that so much because I'm going to put Zach's Instagram down there just so if you guys can follow him before we finalize this portion of it. But I love that so much because it's something that I feel that I've just recently learned, maybe in the past year or two, because I grew up always being afraid of being overweight because my mom was overweight. And she told me that after you have a kid, you're just going to be overweight and you just have to deal with it. And as you get older, you're just going to be even more overweight. And I was like, ooh, I don't think I really want that for myself. And, she said, it's genetics. It's genetics. So when I talk to women about weight loss, the first thing I tell them is they'll start with, oh, so-and-so is overweight. And I go, okay, yeah, that's just genetics. But it doesn't mean that's going to be going to happen to you, number one. And then I tell them that, what if I told you could actually be healthy and sometimes still eat the things that you like? Because I do it. And I'm usually a lot older than most of those women, and I've hit menopause and I had 2 kids. So if I can do it, you can do it. And I just love that you said that because you're right. I don't worry about being overweight anymore. I don't put any mind share into that. And guess what? With that extra mind share, I can put that into so many other creative ventures, which is much more rewarding than worrying about my weight. Like, I don't want to be there. That doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah, it does free up so much mental space. And it's a nice way to live, honestly. It's nice to just not have that weight.
Oh, listen, I used to live the other way most of my life, and this is just new for me. So I have to say the freedom that comes with it is huge. So anyway, for those of you watching, if you're traveling a lot, cannot figure out how to lose that weight and keep it off, Zach is your guy. He knows because he's done it himself. Who wants to listen to somebody who's overweight giving advice about weight loss and being your best self? Nobody wants to listen to that. So I want to go to somebody who's shredded. So if I have a problem, I'm coming to you, Zach.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. This is great.
Well, we're going to go into the private room in just a second. I'm going to put this up here. So for those of you watching, if you want to see the rest of the episode, here's access to my private school community, and you can check it out in there. And then, Zach, you and I are going to have a more in-depth conversation in the private room. See you in just a bit.